Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clemett, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Today on the That's Audacious podcast, we have the most amazing Christine Corcoran, who is the high-ticket sales strategist and business mindset master coach, speaker, podcast host, you name it. This amazing woman does it all. It's such a mouthful, Christine, but you just are amazing at that, really leveling people up in terms of their sales strategy. And building that into their business model, which I love about you. But you are also a bit of a visionary as well, and you are behind the unstoppable sales and next level. I love that, unstoppable. It's just like, watch me. I love that positivity about what you do, and that you run masterminds and retreats as well. And the Thrive retreat looks amazing. So your specialist area, Christine, is in guiding business-to-business female entrepreneurs like yourself, to attract those aligned clients and customers by having a really awesome, positive mindset about what they're doing and being authentic with sales and not being afraid to ask for that high ticket item and be going, I'm worth it and this is what I'm worth doing. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Christine. It's awesome to have you with me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So what I wanted you to start with is if you can perhaps give yourself a bit of an introduction into who you are, what you do, and what got you started in this. Why are you so passionate about this?
So I feel like there's an element there where we're very aligned when it comes to being audacious. So I really want clients to win. Like, that's what I'm so passionate about. I want people to win. And for them to win in life and in business, they have to be audacious, have to put themselves out there. And it takes a lot of mindset work to do that. And so learning to sell yourself online, to actually put yourself out there and highlight what you bring to the table and how valuable you are in order for someone to see the value in working with you and invest in you is a big challenge for a lot of people. And so I'm so passionate about women really stepping in and owning their worth and believing in themselves enough to charge what they're worth and to put themselves out there to create that next level of success within their business and their life. And so why I'm so passionate about it is it kind of started back when I was in corporate. So I was in corporate sales for about 6.5 years. And back then we were very much taught the strategy, and we were taught to actually give the strategy to the clients, and that strategy had been tested, and that obviously clients would take that and run with it. Now, some clients would take it, run with it, and be really quite successful with it. And then other clients I would see them a month later and they had done nothing and they hadn't implemented it. And there was all these barriers, all these things that were preventing them from being able to execute on that strategy. And that's where I discovered that mindset was such a huge part of being successful in business, because you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't believe in it, if you don't believe in yourself, and if you're not able to back yourself, then you will end up self-sabotaging every step of the way. So I became super obsessed with the mindset side. When I first explored this and found that the clients are really struggling in that space of implementing the strategy, what I thought it was me. I was like, it must be the way that I'm communicating. It must be the way that I'm, sharing the strategy. I've got to be doing something better than this. So I went back and studied communication styles and human behavior, and through that discovered coaching, and through that discovered mindset, neuroscience, and became obsessed with the brain and what makes us tick. And that then I just became so obsessed with it. I was like, I really want to help in this space, and I want to work with clients that are willing to look at their mindset and willing to actually do that work in order for them to challenge themselves to grow. And so when I started implementing all the mindset side, I saw such great results with my clients that the corporate company I was working for was like, what are you doing? This is working. And so they then asked me to then train their sales teams. And so I was like training their sales teams, saw great results with that. And then I just got to the point where I was like, I just want to do this. I just want to work with amazing clients. I want to support people with their mindset. I want to help them with their sales. And that's when I started my business and started to step away from corporate. And now I work with service-based businesswomen predominantly, to help them get out of their own way, to help them really develop a strong sales process within their business, because sales is not something that is just that you're passionate about what you do and you just share it. There is actually a sales process. So a lot of people don't have the skill of sales. So I want to teach them that, but then also work on uncovering any of the mindset blocks that prevent them from taking their business to the next level.
Yeah, I love it. It's interesting, isn't it? That strategy and process is one thing, and it's important and you need to have that. But if you don't overlay that with understanding your own mindset, how you communicate with people, all of those natural skills or people skills that you've got to have, and taking the time, I guess, to reflect on your own barriers as to why you don't like selling what you do, or you don't like asking for money, or you don't like the idea of upping your prices. What are the things, if you don't understand all of those things, you're never going to be successful, no matter how good the strategy is. So why do you think women in particular are particularly bad at asking for good money and high ticket items, and they have trouble doing that?
Well, I believe that there's a lot of conditioning when it comes to being a woman and being able to put themselves out there. Men are very much, or boys are very much encouraged to succeed, to put themselves out there, to be successful. Whereas women are taught to take care of other people, right? We're the supporters. And so there is a lot of deep conditioning with women in our ability to really like step in and own our worth from that space. And then there's also the society's conditioning of not being good enough. So we're constantly being fed a message around not being good enough, because if we're not good enough, then we want to spend money on fixing our face or fixing our hair or being skinnier, getting the husband, like all this conditioning, which seems like it's surface level, it has nothing to do with business, but that's what actually prevents us from really believing in ourselves and going after these things. So we've got to work through that societal conditioning in order for us to then believe that we absolutely have something to offer the world and we are worthy of being able to charge what we want to charge and then be able to then sell it. So there's a lot of conditioning that we have to work through. And so that's why I think that women do have a lot of those extra barriers when it comes to this type of thing in business.
Yeah. I've also got a bit of a theory at the moment, and I don't know if it's a theory. I'd love your take on this. Is because we are natural nurturers, we often hang on to doing something or a product or something that we have on offer for too long, even though it's not working. And we know it's not making us any money, it's not very profitable, but we want to do it because we've nurtured it along. We've created it for so long. Whereas men tend to go, oh, that's not working, throw that out, start something new, or toss that bit out and don't worry about it because we'll improve it. And women tend to hang on almost too long to stuff that doesn't earn the money and doesn't work, whereas men tend to go, no, do you think that's the case, or is that just me?
No, I think that's definitely a case for some people. And I think that there's an element there of also like, we really want to please, like sometimes the people pleasing starts to come into play as well. And, there's a lot of female conditioning around that too. And we want to, like, even if you think about the clients, you might actually have clients that have been with you forever, but even though like you maybe haven't increased their price or, what they pay you, and you hold on to these clients because you also care that you don't want to hurt their feelings either. So there's like a lot of stuff that goes into playing into that next level. So even like I think back to a client that went through my sales program recently, and when she first came into the program, she was like, oh, we were talking about pricing, and she's like, I just want to make sure that I'm affordable. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Who do you want to work with? Like, what level of client do you want to work with? And we needed to explore all parts of what she meant by affordable and why she wanted to be affordable. And a lot of the time for her, it was actually because she was like, oh, I don't want to rip people off, right? Which is true. We want to be conscious of that. But she was also like, oh, I don't want people to reject me. So there was a fear of rejection. And there was so much tied into her belief around money that came into it as well. So there was the money mindset blocks that prevented her. And when I said to her, like, rather than think about it from a place of being affordable, what if we started to perceive it as valuable? And she was like, I'm like, is it valuable? Like, do you think it's valuable to your customers? And she's like, yes, oh my God, it's so valuable. I was like, how valuable? Tell me more. And so when she started to explore the level of value to her customer, she was like, oh, I can charge more for this. And I was like, and you should. Like, because you want your clients to also value it at a new price point, and you also want to attract the clients that would see that at that price point and see it as valuable. Because sometimes we put our pricing to be affordable because we don't want other people to be neglected or to, to alienate other people. But sometimes we need to do that with our pricing in order to attract the right clients, right? So there's so much that goes into the pricing psychology. But what was really fascinating to me with her, I was like, let's just shift that belief system about being affordable and let's bring it over to being valuable, because the last thing that I want you to do is discount because you're worried about someone else's budget. Because then what happens is that you then continue to discount, you aren't considering the profitability of your offer, and then that starts to affect your bottom line, your self-worth, and you become resentful towards the clients you're working with. And then before you know it, you actually hate your business and you want to give up on it. Like that's the last thing that I want to happen for you. So why don't we create a profitable offer that is valuable, that people want to pay for, that also is allowing you to receive the income that you deserve in order for you to stay sustainable in business.
Yeah, nice. It's so much of it comes down to what you would pay for what you do, and it's just there's no concept around what other people would pay to do what you know, is there? Which comes into
that's the worst way to come about your pricing. Right? Because if you wouldn't value it because it's most likely something that comes natural to you, or that you're skilled in it, so it's fast for you. Whereas the reason why your customer is spending the money with you is because they can't do it. Right? Like we need to shift the way that we think about our pricing.
Yeah. So that brings me beautifully to my next question is, how does what you do help people build a profile? And I've got an idea about this, but I'm sure you'll nail this question.
So I'm a big believer of learning to have the courage to sell yourself, right? Like you're selling your offers, you're selling your business, and you're selling yourself. When you start to actually do that, you do build a profile, right? You put yourself out there and you overcome the imposter syndrome. You show up and you say, hey, I have something of value here, and you should listen. And so when you allow yourself to put yourself in that position, you are creating that level of foundation in your business that needs to happen in order for people to stand up and listen. And then you create that profile through selling yourself. So it goes entwined, because you could have the best offer, you could have the most incredible service and the credible customer service, like everything that is amazing. But if it's the best kept secret, it's not going to make you any money. It's not going to do anything for your business. And so there has to be an element of learning to sell yourself. And that's a big part of building your profile.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that a lot at the Audacious agency around, backing yourself and being your own best cheer squad. So, and it is that mindset shift in overcoming your doubts and whether you're valuable and whether what you do is worthy and all that sort of thing. What would be one of the vital steps that somebody listening today might take to help improve their attitude around and their mindset around their sense of value?
So what I would actually do is suggest that they build their bank of evidence. So sit down and actually write down all the reasons why you are the best person to serve the ideal client that you want to work with, and all the reasons why your service is what you want to deliver and what makes you the best person to deliver that service. Because when we do it to that extent, you can uncover all your level of expertise, your education, all the things you overcome, all like the things that you're passionate about, like everything that makes you who you are and that makes you the best person to serve those clients. When we do that, your brain has no other way to respond to that than actually believe in yourself. But often what happens is that we go into comparison and we look to other people to look for our value and where we fit, and we try to feel like we belong. But really, you've got to belong to yourself first. You've got to come back to really like backing yourself with all the proof and evidence. And I love that you do this as well with the awards, right? Like doing that self-reflection and looking back at everything that you've done to get to where you are today and uncovering all your skill sets and everything that you bring to the table. Like that is such a beautiful self-believer, strategy to actually build up your self-belief. And that changes the game for people, because when you have that proof, when your brain looks over that, when you look at the reflection of all the things that you add to your list, and I would say do this for a good 10 minutes and don't stop until you have everything that you can pour out of your brain, because our brain has a negative bias. So we always look to all the negative stuff anyway. But to get it to redirect back to the positive stuff, sometimes we have to take the time to actually unpack it all. And so writing it all down on a piece of paper and then looking back and being like, oh my God, I am the best person to serve this client. I can do this, and believing in yourself and backing yourself with everything. And I got a client to do that recently, and she looks back on it. She just loves this list that she's created. And she was like, because she was doubting herself. She was really like doubting her pricing. She was doubting putting herself out there. She was doubting whether she was really cut out for this thing called business, like all of the stuff. And when we looked at that list, I was like, so the people that you really want to serve, would they hire you? And she's like, hell yeah. And I'm like, yeah. So you've got to believe in you first. You've got to see the value in what you bring to the table first before anybody else will. And so uncovering that bank of evidence, and you need to do it physically. Otherwise, it's kind of just sits in the back of your mind and it really doesn't make a big impact. But if you get it out onto paper, it changes the game, because you can be like, look at all this proof that I have to back myself and to believe in myself, because I do have value here.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. What do they say? Fear is false experiences or something appearing real. And
Yeah.
often you're so right. If you look for the evidence, what's the evidence? Well, and it's very funny when we do write awards for people and that first interview where we get all that information out of them and we encourage them to go back through their diary at what their achievements were, what their challenges were, how they overcame it, all the adapting that they did and the innovative way they approach things. And then we write their entry and send it to them. And so often they come back and say, oh, I think you've sent this to the wrong person. It's like, no, this is what you told us. This is what you've done. So yeah, it's an awesome opportunity to really not only review what you've achieved, but get that evidence in front of you and back yourself, which is so cool. You are listening to the That's Audacious podcast, the podcast where this is your ultimate resource for building a standout profile and achieving award-winning success. If you want to know more about the podcast or listen to more episodes, please visit our website or wherever you get your favorite podcast from. So, Christine, we're talking to Christine Corcoran, who is the unstoppable sales coach, trainer, mentor, amazing strategist around really taking you to that next level when you are selling yourself and selling your services. What's one big myth that people need to know about when it comes to selling high ticket items?
So interesting. So high ticket, it can be anything above $1,000, right? So one of the biggest myths is that there's often a conversation around low ticket being easier to sell versus high ticket. And I disagree. Like there's definitely nuances to both. But when it comes to selling high ticket, the biggest piece is actually your self-belief. Right? You've got to come back to really fully believing in yourself and backing yourself in order for someone else to believe that it's valuable, right? Yes, you need to think about the customer and you need to think about creating an incredible service that blows their mind. And I'm a big believer of like selling them what they want, but give them what they really need and starting to make sure that you're creating an irresistible offer that is absolutely perfect for and creating an incredible transformation for the client, first and foremost. And then when it comes to that high ticket thing, it's literally like people go, oh, I don't have enough skills. I don't have enough experience. Like there's always comes back to the not enoughness. But really when you do that bank of evidence activity, you start to actually realize how valuable you do have your level of skill and service. And you need to actually factor in your whole life experience. So often people start businesses and they go, oh, I'm starting from new. And I'm starting right from where I am right now. And I can't factor in the years of experience that I had when I worked in corporate or when I did this business or when I did that. They think they're starting from fresh, but it's not. You have all of your knowledge and all of your experience, your expertise and your skills, and that factors in the value that you bring to the table with your high ticket offer. And then secondly, you've got to consider the high ticket offer from your customer's point of view. It's valuable to them. And you've got to learn to actually unpack and communicate the value so then people see the value in spending high ticket. So I think it's less about the price. It's more about like really how you think about the offer and how you then communicate the value of the offer.
Yeah, nice. I love it. So, Christine, it's been an absolute blast chatting with you on the podcast today. We could talk forever, I'm sure, about positioning yourself as valuable. And so I love everything that you do. But I've got one last question for you. If you could go back to a place in time and give yourself some advice to improve where you're at now or to help yourself out, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, I would say put your hand up for opportunities way before you think you're ready. It's one of the things that I've done hugely this year in 2024. I've actively sought out opportunities. I've put myself in the rooms. I've gone after things and backed myself every step of the way and took the action, even though it was scary, even though I didn't feel ready, even though the imposter syndrome was showing up every single step of the way. I put myself forward and I raised my hand. And I feel like that's been an absolute game changer for me this year. And I would say that like you're never going to feel fully ready. And I know that people always say that, but you've got to back yourself in that moment and take the courageous action anyway.
Yep, grow wings and learn how to fly on the way down. I love that. So Christine is the high ticket sales strategist and business mentor. You've got a new book coming out next year all about imposter syndrome. You're running Thrive retreats and masterminds. All of Christine's contact details will be at the bottom of this podcast so you can get in touch with her. What's the easiest way to find you, Christine?
I spend most of my time on Instagram, to be honest. So feel free to come over to Instagram, send me a DM, let me know what you took away from this episode. Would love to hear from you. You can find me at Christine Corcoran _coach.
Brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much. And don't stop ever being audacious. It's wonderful seeing you here today. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.